This episode is brought to you by Honda. When you test drive the new Prologue EV, there's a lot that could impress you about it. There's the class-leading passenger space, the clean, thoughtful design, and the intuitive technology. But out of everything, what you'll really love most is that it's a Honda. Visit honda.com/EV to see offers.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
And now, live from the TCL broadcast studios, it's Joe Souchere and Patrick Royce with Sports Talk.
Pat, maybe you have to be our age to find the Trump spectacle today so strange. Because we grew up knowing that Russia was the evil enemy.
Yes. Well, who thinks they are anything but that, considering what's been going on in recent years? You know what I am very confused about? Syria.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in there, and we're in there, and there's rebels in there, and then there's Assad, the bad guy, with his chemical weapons in there, and then, but we're in there bombing in behalf of the rebels,
Right.
but we got to make sure, and the Syria's in there, Russia's in there bombing in behalf of Syria.
On behalf of Bashar Assad.
Of Assad. Boy, that's a fragile situation, isn't it? That's
I don't think that even came up today, did it? Syria?
Oh, I don't even think we talk about that one. Who knows? There was basically it was what?
Well, I've been
4
told
people in the room, right?
Well, they met alone, so we're supposed to not know what they did. I have no idea.
We don't want to know. I mean, he didn't want anybody in there who was going to leak it, so I think they each had one handler, and then the two of them, right? That was it.
How hard do you think he prepared for it?
Well, when he was going from tee to green in that cart, at his golf course last couple of days, he was
his luxurious golf course.
He was making notes.
Does he own Turnberry?
I don't.
Yeah, isn't that the one where he had the?
I thought he owned.
He
one.
moved some earth, or some shoreline was disrupted.
Yeah, but that was. I think he's got newer. He doesn't have the old courses.
That's what I was wondering.
Newer courses. I think he's got 2 newer courses up there.
Reavers?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. I think he owns 2 courses in Scotland.
Google what are the Trump golf courses in Scotland?
Yeah, he's but yeah, he was moving some land. Who was the guy we had? Was it a university president that we had chopping down the trees over at one of the lakes?
I don't know. I remember the story.
Who was the guy that blocked his view and he was chopping down the trees? I can't remember.
I don't think it was U of M president.
I don't know.
I remember the story.
Yeah, he just. Oh no, it was a Star Tribune. It was the Minneapolis Star. The publisher, right?
The publisher,
the Star.
Yep.
Or
he wanted to see more of
where the Star was when the Star was on its last legs. I think
he wanted to see more of Lake Harriet.
Yes, right.
So he went across the street, and cut the trees down,
chopping the trees down on public land. Yeah. Who was that guy? I can't remember. That was before my time over there. I'm not sure who that guy was.
Are you confident of the ball club rallying in the second half?
Well, not really, but
Joe just called it the second half.
You and I got a problem.
What am I supposed to call it?
58% of the schedule's been played, and we've played fewer games than anybody in the American League.
All right,
so you can't call it the second half.
What do we call it?
The final 2/5.
The rest of July and then August and September.
That's the best. I'll settle for the 40% solution.
All right,
we got the 40% solution left here. So I don't know. It was nice to have a 9-2 homestand. Can't complain about that, especially the way they won the last one, which was a brawl. But we also saw everything that's bad about modern baseball. Tampa used, 9 pitchers? I think they used 9.
Yeah, but
they didn't have a
modus.
starter this time. Well, they were out. They were going to have to if Dozier hadn't hit that home run, they were going to bring in a position player the next inning. By the way, we did have to use the position player on Saturday night, and as much as I like Willens Astudillo, I don't think he can be the emergency pitcher. I think they got to look elsewhere.
They got to resign Jimenez.
That was some serious loopers. That was father's pitch. That's what that was. He was throwing dad's pitch to 8-year-olds and 7-year-olds. He was throwing.
The only one I'm finding here, boys, is Turnberry.
Okay. Is it
Ruck, what are you looking for?
Is it the old Turnberry? Okay, maybe he did buy
Steve Isaacs.
Steve Isaacs.
He was he was the former Minneapolis Star editor.
Yes. Yes.
He died in 2014, and Joe's foe, Tim McGuire, did a piece on him.
Yeah. But the tree controversy had to be sometime in the 80s.
It was.
Well, because it was so long ago, the Star existed.
Yes. Yeah,
the evening paper.
Which I think they died in 84 or 5, and the Pioneer, the Dispatch lasted until 86.
I wonder if there's an evening paper left in the country. I got to think not.
The Philadelphia Daily News, but now it's pretty much a morning paper.
Yeah.
It was traditionally, it's more pretty much. The Inquirer owns the Daily News, and they still publish both of them because I guess they're still trying to sell the tabloids or something. I don't know whether they still have the both, but that was Baltimore Sun. Boy, they had an evening Sun for a long time, but it's gone now.
When did this Dispatch die?
86.
In 86?
Yeah. Sometime in it. But
so that had to be about the same time the Star did.
They lasted a couple more years in the Star. I think the Star was 84.
So what was Wayne Hassel, my neighbor? Was he the both or just the?
Well, when I was working there, he was the Pioneer Press guy back then. He put out the morning paper.
Okay.
He'd get that green visor on and look like an authority, man. And then he would take lunch and go upstairs to the library and look at his stamps, man. Get ready.
Stamps in the news.
He worked 4 days a week as the makeup editor, and then 1 day a week he was writing stamps in the news.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing if you go back and look at an old paper from the 70s even, or the 80s, how it was just random. Whatever you'd find on a page was just random.
Oh, yeah.
There'd be a murder next to somebody with a nice big pumpkin patch.
Now they got it all.
1970 U.S. Open. I'm a kid down there, and they got half the staff out covering it at Hazeltine, and I'm the makeup editor. They let me put it in. And so and we used to have a front page, and it was, you'd have like your main 3-4 stories, and then all of a sudden, as Joe said, you'd have a two-grapher here. You'd just fill the slot. So they had Tony Jacklin was running away with it. So somebody came in with a great photo of Tony Jacklin waiting to hit off the tee because they had one hole there that every guy was always backed up, sitting on his golf bag on the side of the tee box having a heater.
I remember the picture.
Having a heater. And I was in the slot and made it huge. Like, back then, it was probably still 8 columns.
Because you thought it was cool too. You thought, what a great pick.
This is great. And plus, there was no tournament. He was winning it. He was winning in a walk. And I blew it up, and it was like 6 by 12. It took up half the front page, and then the story. And Kenny Murphy came in, and man, he was fuming. He was very upset.
I think it sounds neat.
He came in as the editor. Yeah, look at all that space you wasted. You could have, because I might have trimmed 2 graphs out of his story or something to get it in. I don't know. So then he got out to the golf course the next day, and everybody said, Kenny, that looked great, man. That was outstanding. And Kenny said, yeah, I kind of told those young guys. Sure
you did, Kenny.
Yeah. Well, but it was the way we slapped them together. It was incredible. There is no doubt about that.
We'll be back in just a minute. I'm worried about baseball.
I think I'm worried about baseball and the immediacy, but I would be, right now you look and see, by the way, the NFL numbers have dropped off too. And soccer, I just read in the New York Times story that kids aren't playing soccer, then the numbers are way down too.
Well, what I'm worried about is that they'll do something stupid. I don't want them to change the game.
Well, they got to change. They got to make some changes.
You know what I think?
20-second clock, and that'd be. Let's start with that and see where we go from
Maybe
there.
we're headed towards a future of people just not interested in sports.
Yes, well, is not interested in being spectators, attendees. 20 years from now, baseball will be in better shape than football. Football might not exist because you got to have players, and people aren't going to be playing it. Right now the NFL is still the number one thing, but they should be the ones that are even more nervous than baseball. 20-second clock, limit on relief pitchers, make them face at least 2 batters. Maybe even a limit on how many pitchers you can use, 5 or something like that, is being discussed. Those would not make dramatic changes to the game.
I know I'm not the demo they're after, but I found it terribly easy to not pay any attention to the World Cup or Wimbledon.
Yeah, I know. Well,
I still pay attention to golf tournaments and saw Michael Kim win at the Deer Run.
That was boring.
It was boring. Yeah.
I was interested in Serena, and then Nadal and Djokovic. I'm interested in those 2 guys, so I watched some of that match. And I liked the nationalism of the World Cup when it got down to the nitty gritty. I liked that. And went to the Croatian club yesterday to. Rook was
the
there.
Crow, yeah.
Did you guys hang in there till the end, or how long
we were about halfway done in the second half. We the people that I were with, the younger people, said, "Okay, Dad, we've had enough."
That was a festive crowd, but that wasn't like we're going to get angry if Croatia loses.
They weren't going to burn down the Crow.
Affable,
right, they weren't going to burn down the Crow.
They had one thing about Croatian fans, Joe. You can tell it's them by their shirts. Mm-hmm. They're the Purina Chow red and white checks one. So there was a nice turnout there.
But again, when you test them, hey, give me a couple of lines of the anthem, will you? They stare blankly back at you.
Even the 2 kids I was talking to, the 10 and 8-year-olds from Croatia are here, and great. The little girl was great. I said, sing the Croatian anthem for me with you. And she said, don't know.
What bar did the French claim in town? They had to pick some trendy spot.
Probably Brits, right?
Well, I thought Brits was for British people.
Well, I'm just meant to say like
Sofitel's gone.
Well, because Brits had sent out a thing on Twitter saying, "Hey, we're full. Stop coming here." It was 1 in, 1 out
yesterday,
and so that's they were saying we don't want to turn people away, but we're full. So if you're expected to come watch it here, you're not getting in.
Does the U.S. have it in 2022?
26. 2022, with some of the great bribery in the history of international sports, Qatar is having it.
Really?
Qatar, yes.
Won't it be a little hot?
I think it'll be a little hot, and they're a little short on stadiums, but they paid everybody off in FIFA. They got her. So
but maybe at that point, if you fake the fall, it's just instant death. They just come out and just chop your legs off.
Where will it be in this country?
2026. It's going to be here in Mexico and Canada. We're going to be the central point, but there's going to be some matches.
But where in the country?
We don't know. They're not even.
Might it be the Twin Cities?
You might get a match. I doubt it, but you might get a match. It's probably not. The stadium's only going to be 20,000. By the way, in my soccer adventure yesterday, I decided to drive by the neighborhood over there.
The
stadium, soccer stadium,
where the stadium's.
Yeah.
So that shopping center staying there,
where Big Top is.
Yeah, and then the other one right next to it. There's two of them.
I think ultimately
they're staying.
I think ultimately they are planned to be disappearing.
That one.
I think
at least that one.
I think
but there's a Herberger's there, and Herberger's is either out of business or going out of business. Right. So what's going to happen to that big building then?
I don't know who owns that, but my guess would be it's got to come down. It has to.
I think they're anticipating housing and
but it looks like that is one of the funkier neighborhoods in the Twin Cities. It's always been a kind of and nothing has been done to remove the funk as of yet. It's still the funky.
Hey, look
For
who's
instance,
back.
Kenny's here.
Hi,
Hello,
Kenny. How are you? How was your weekend?
He's still in leave me alone mode, I think.
You just interrupted Patrick in the middle of his story. Please finish, Pat.
But the front yard of the soccer stadium is a McDonald's still sitting on the corner.
Right.
It's they haven't gotten her figured out yet.
Now can I talk to Kenny?
I think we should try to reopen the Belmont over there with the Go-Go Girls.
That's been scraped to the ground.
Go-Go Girls.
Man, Go-Go
They stopped
Girls.
calling them that in 59.
They had the little things on there.
1970s. We used Walter Montpettit.
Yeah, Montpettit.
They had Go-Go Girls.
With the tassels on the nipples.
Yes,
Yeah, right.
yes. And they had little breeches on too. They were not. They were
Little
not
breeches.
And
naked.
that was behind glass. Yeah. So you'd
That
roll
was
up.
where-
You'd roll up the front row with your Windex and your glass cutter.
That was where Augie and me and Bob Kleinschmidt from St. Cloud, a big buddy of ours, and Kleiny was down visiting the Twin Cities. And, we were drinking in the Belmont. I've told this story.
I like
and
this
he
one.
went to the boys' room and opened the door and took a left and ended up tumbling down the basement steps in the dark. Boom, 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 boom. Went down there.
How hurt did he get?
All of a sudden, we run over there, and in the dark, we hear the voice, "Oh, Schmidt, you idiot." I don't know what he broke, but he damn near killed himself. He went to, but safety concerns were not big at the Belmont. The door wasn't locked. You could just take a left and go down the basement steps.
Kenny, how are you?
They also had the prom over on University,
yes,
too.
they
My
did.
grandma and
Prom
grandpa.
ballroom.
My grandma and grandpa used to dance there
And-
every week.
And the Criterion, a great restaurant over there, the Criterion.
It truly is the boulevard of broken dreams.
The prom would get some great musical acts.
Yes.
I mean, like Glenn Miller. And,
Yeah, that's what old white people were into. And
That's
you
right.
should see him glide around the dance floor.
Where were you for 2 weeks, Kenny?
I was minding my own business, Suchi boy.
Did you have a good time? How was it?
How was your weekend?
Was it a good week? A couple good weeks?
It was just fine.
What'd you do?
Thanks for asking.
Hey, Kenny, we're watching. Manny showed up yesterday at the Crow Hall.
That was funny,
at the
Pat.
Croatian Hall to watch the soccer game.
Is that why you were there?
Yeah, to
I
watch
saw
the
your
soccer
tweet.
game. Yeah. And I said, I wrote about it, and I declared Manny was the Jackie Robinson of watching Croatia play for the World Cup in the Crow Hall.
He broke new ground.
What we used to call the color barrier.
A true champion.
Well, I bet the Crows took kindly to Manny.
Oh yeah, they loved him. Yeah, but Manny was. I looking around and said, before he got there, I have a brother in there, some damn place. But
No.
not even close.
In your absence, you may have missed it, but another guy did walk in,
Oh, really?
and he walked right by us and Manny and him both went, how you doing? Okay, yeah, I got you. We're good here, right? Croats, we're okay, right? We're good. It was just, I don't know if it was a nervousness or relief, but they both kind of up nodded and said, I'll keep you around.
It's a little bit like my hometown. They're still talking about that day in '69 when a black guy drove through.
That's right.
Kept going.
Sports Talk will return shortly, but now thanks to our great friends in Owatonna, Minnesota at Federated Insurance, where it's their business to protect your business, and nobody does that better than Federated. It's Frank Miller from the Wall Street Journal and Your Money Now. Frank.
Lack of direction today following gains last week. Stocks not seeing much movement throughout much of today's trading. Bank of America, one of the bright spots on Wall Street, the bank reporting better than expected earnings, which helped to lead the bank sector higher. Oil plunging today down nearly $3 to $68 a barrel. That's its lowest level in about 3 weeks. Well, it's Amazon Prime Day. Well, technically day and a half. It goes 36 hours this year as opposed to 30 hours last year. There'll be more than 1 million deals exclusively for Prime members around the world, plus at all U.S. Whole Foods Market stores. Company suffering a bit of a scare, though, as the Amazon website crashed just as the deals went live and also caused their stock prices to crash, although the website apparently is back up and functioning and the stock has recovered some of its lost value. Now, this year's Prime Day will feature double the deals on Amazon devices like the Echo, Fire TV, and Fire tablets. Not to be outdone, though, eBay is unveiling big discounts on thousands of new items on its website with no membership required. Deals will be refreshed throughout the day and includes top brands like Apple, Samsung, Adidas, Dyson, KitchenAid, and much more with free shipping. I'm Frank Miller. Your Money Now, 1500 ESPN. Now, no membership required. Here's Kenny Soulman Olson.
Okay, Frank, good stuff there. Thank you. This one's sponsored by Indeed, and boy, do I have a story for you. Okay, Mr. Jethro Cheddar Breath over there in Wisconsin finally saved up enough Marlboro box tops so he could afford a double-wide trailer. Unfortunately, the truck hauling one half of his brand-new double-wide hit a signal on eastbound 36 at Stillwater Boulevard, pulled down the overhead wires, so you might see delays in that area. MnDOT is trying to get that wire back up in the air so they can open both lanes. Are you hiring? With Indeed, you can post a job in minutes, set up screener questions, then zero in on qualified candidates in an online dashboard. Get started at Indeed.com/hire.
Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out.
I wouldn't play that song for him if he's going to be surly and not tell us how his weekend was.
He's softening up. He's
Kenny's
softening up.
back, boys.
4,535 miles. That's how many we logged in 2 weeks.
And he still wasn't far enough away.
Let me ask you a question. Did you go to Yosemite?
No,
Okay.
The furthest west we made it was Salt Lake.
Okay.
But our second stop on the itinerary was Laramie. Ooh. And we ate dinner right next to that stadium where you go to Wyomania.
You should have told me, Ringlesby. You could have headed you out to the ranch, man. If I would have known that, you could have been out to the ranch.
I don't like people I like, let alone people I've never met.
Did you go to a rodeo at least?
We did a 4th of July rodeo in Steamboat Springs.
Oh, that's a big one, too. That's a big rodeo.
And after that, I've decided I'm not wearing my cowboy hat again because I am not worthy of a cowboy hat.
How'd you do driving balls through the mountains? I don't like the mountains.
There were some tense moments. Mm-hmm. My family was a little concerned for my well-being a couple of times.
And their well-being, too?
It's not the drive. It's the other people coming at you in their big, huge, wide RVs. And you see as they're nearing you and they're in your lane that they're looking off in the distance. They're not even... And it's like, buddy, our mirrors are going to... Buddy! Oh, we made it.
Did you have the State Fair flop sweat rocking too?
Yeah, a couple of times during some of those mountain passes are pretty serious.
Oh, that's fascinating. Here's John Haidt in the newsroom.
You quiz him, he gives you some information.
It was terribly boring. It was.
It's rural stuff. It's rural stuff.
Rural stuff.
If you can't hop on a plane and end up playing golf, you're not interested.
Thanks, Joe.
That's close.
That might be more accurate than you know.
Sunny and 84 degrees. Twins with their one all-star, star, of course. He's pitcher Jose Barrios. Today, the starting pitcher's name for tomorrow's all-star game. Chris Sale will make his third straight start for the American League. Max Scherzer goes for the National League. Home Run Derby is tonight, and you can listen right here. It starts at 7 o'clock here on 1500.
So the Rose for Rosie didn't work.
No, it didn't come close. Hey, do you realize that in a week's time, Chris Sale was named the All-Star starting pitcher and was Sports Person of the Day.
What a feat.
Wow. He's got to be a big July for him, man.
You know, speaking of programming, Rook, did you just get the latest email from the boss? The mayor's going to be out for the rest of the week. And it looks like, Mr. Coles is filling in, Mr. Hauser. And then on Friday, we got !sportscaster idol.
We're taking candidates that'll sit during the 1 to 3 time slot?
So there we go.
There's no chance you guys will be proprietary either, is there?
Why do you fall for that
Where are you going,
stuff?
Joe? What are you going to do, Joe? Where are you headed, Joe? What are your plans, Joe? Are you driving, Joe? You flying, Joe? What you doing, Joe?
None of your business,
Joe!
God, it was peaceful around here, wasn't it?
But boring.
Yeah.
News notes from today. The president has made his first comments via Twitter after that stunning press conference with Russian President Vladimir Putin today. He's flying back, and he tweeted about an hour ago, as I said today and many times before, I have great confidence in my, M-Y in caps, I don't know why, intelligence people. However, I also recognize that in order to build a brighter future, we cannot exclusively focus on the past. As the world's two largest nuclear powers, we must get along. Helsinki 2018.
So somebody got to him and said, you should make it sound like you might favor your own security people over Putin.
I think you two, though, had an interesting question at the top of the hour. What did they talk about while they were alone in the room?
Yes.
You think they just unzipped and compared it? They had to, right? Let's just get right down to the brass tacks here.
I think we'll learn more about that and what they talked about when my brother Steve, who just texted me and said, I can do Friday, when he sits in for Sportscaster Idol at Garage Logic. Steve, go ahead.
You're on.
Are they really going to have that on Friday?
Well, yeah. We got to.
Why do you think? No, we're not going to do
You know what? You know what we should do?
But my brother Steve is filling in on Friday 1 to 3.
You, Such, have two of the most fascinating brothers I've ever met. I think we should have those guys in. And maybe a sister or two.
Yeah, that'll get loud.
That'll get loud. Everyone could come up and get 10 minutes to tell their favorite Joe story.
I love that.
Come on, let's let the people in, Joe.
Let's have some more news.
Tell
for
us
John
about the
Haidt.
time Such pooped his pants when he was 35.
You know, it was fun, though, at the Hall of Fame celebration when we all gathered in. You could tell where the Souchere clan was at all times.
Yes, most definitely. Yes. During the press conference today, the
Not
president.
far from the bar. Very close to the liquor.
During the press conference, the president said he had no reason not to believe Putin's claims that Russia had nothing to do with meddling in the 2016 election. That despite, of course, every U.S. intelligence agency saying Russia did interfere. Putin did say during the press conference, yes, this is the first time he said this, they were polling for Trump to win the election, but said they didn't meddle in it to help him win.
Okay, then.
Meanwhile, a 29-year-old Russian woman living in Washington has been arrested and charged with conspiracy to act as an agent of the Russian government while developing ties with American citizens and infiltrating political groups. Maria Butina, a student at American University and a founder of the pro-gun rights Russian advocacy organization Right to Bear Arms, is accused of working at the direction of a high-level official who worked for the Russian Central Bank. She has pictured numerous photographs on her Facebook page with Alexander Torshin, the deputy head of Russia's central bank.
Does she have a mustache?
She doesn't.
Gross.
No, she didn't actually.
Usually these young Russian gals are pretty good looking.
Yeah, she was.
Then they end
The
up
picture I saw.
being 50-year-old bent over.
How does that?
Potato
when are you
farmers,
over
I
the?
don't know.
When are you over the hump?
I don't know what happens.
Bent over.
I mean,
Never had a happy day in my life.
Never had a happy day in my life.
Right.
Stooped, you mean?
Stooped is the word.
Stooped.
Right.
Yes. There
Thank
we
you
go.
for diagramming that,
A much
Patrick.
better word choice, Kenny.
Yes, I think so.
Wow. Yes.
According to the
I don't know why you felt it necessary to actually demonstrate that.
That's his go-to move.
Watch this. I'm going to show you what I mean now. I'm going to bend over, damn near bang my head on the desk.
You want me to speak dirty Russian to you?
According to the complaint against her, she worked with two unnamed U.S. citizens and the Russian officials to try and influence American politics and infiltrate a pro-gun rights organization. It does not name the group. However, photos on her Facebook page show she has attended events sponsored by the NRA.
Hey, how about our guy Borat getting all these guys to
Oh,
say
my
this
God.
crazy stuff? Go along with these crazy
He has
ideas.
no shame.
No, he
has
doesn't.
no shame.
Taking advantage of
How
these
does he
poor idiots.
keep a straight
I
face?
don't know. Unbelievable.
After 14 years of the same design,
We support your war of
We
terror.
support your war of terror.
did you are you Patrick? Are you talking about the one where you got all the congressmen and ex-congressmen
Yes,
to
yeah.
say they support kindergartners having guns to
Yeah,
protect
right,
themselves? How do they not go? Wait a minute.
One story about the 4-year-old who defended himself and
Yeah.
shot, and he got and then the guy started using that as an example.
Yeah. How do you not say to yourself,
I think somebody's put me on.
Yeah, exactly. About 14 years, 14 years of the same design, the Minnesota driver's license will have a new look come August. And according to a new press release from the Minnesota Department of Public Safety, the newly designed card's expected to roll out on or after August 6th. The new look includes state of Minnesota branding and colors, vertical cards for those under 21, and different color headings to identify instruction permits, commercial driver's license, and other cards.
Are these the enhanced ones, John, or do we still have to jump through 50 hoops to get the enhanced one?
These are
just a new design.
Well, the new design will be applied to all driver's license ID cards, including Real ID compliant cards, which means you'll still have to go get yours.
But we still haven't straightened out the mess we have.
Minlars, we're still messed up on that.
We're still screwed up. Yeah.
The new cards will have a number of security features, including the image of a walleye that can be seen when the card is held to a light source.
So with all that, all those problems, they decided to give it a new design.
Yes.
How stupid was that?
But it's got a walleye on it. Or maybe a northern. Or maybe a northern.
John, did you just have a stroke, or what happened?
Yeah. When a 28-year-old man contacted police Tuesday in Redlands, California, to report being stabbed on the street that morning, it appears he left out a key detail, according to police. The man initially told officers in the community near San Bernardino that he'd been walking down the street when someone ran up behind him and stabbed him multiple times in the back without warning. Well, using surveillance video from city and business security cameras, police tracked down 51-year-old Cynthia Molina and arrested her on suspicion of assault with a deadly weapon. That's when they discovered the man had earlier exposed himself to Molina at Jenny Davis Park.
She was having none of it.
Yeah, the man fled and she pursued him.
Must have been tiny, huh?
Caught up with him after about a 15-minute chase. They had a brief argument. Molina then stabbed the man and ran away, according to police. He will be okay, but now he also is facing charges for possible indecent exposure.
All right, hold those thoughts, everyone.
We have a new study done by Quote Wizard. It ranks the worst drivers in the 75 most populous markets in the United States. Number one, worst drivers are in Omaha, Nebraska, according to this.
I haven't driven in Omaha enough to realize that.
The final rankings are a sum of weighted means calculated from using these incidents: accidents, speeding tickets, DUIs, and citations like running a red light or using a cell phone while driving. 4 of the top 6 were in California, Riverside coming in right behind Omaha. The city with the best drivers, according to this, is Orlando. Minneapolis, if you're wondering.
Really?
Ranked as having the 11th worst drivers in the United States.
Is it? You get any extra points for hauling ass if you can see the light's going to change?
I don't think so. No extra
Make sure
points.
you get through there. You get points. You get the thumbs up for that. I could have missed the light, but I stepped on it. You should get extra points.
Green means go, red means stop, yellow means go, 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 go. My God, what's wrong with you?
Fort Myers has got to have the worst because they slow down to make sure they miss the light.
Yeah. A man in Northern California is behind bars after he went for a joyride in a fire truck. It all started in Sacramento County, where firefighters were working to extinguish a brush fire when the man got inside one of the unoccupied fire trucks and took off.
Why do they leave the keys in? Why doesn't somebody put it in his pocket when he goes to fight the fire?
Not far down the road from there, police say the suspect stopped and picked up a woman before resuming his high-speed drive.
What?
Hey, gal, you ever been with a fireman?
Authorities chased the pair for
Put that fire out.
Authorities chased the pair for about 2 hours before the man was taken into custody.
Holy cow, he could handle that fire truck.
Yeah, how fast? They can't go that fast.
Well,
can
I
they?
suppose
if
they keep going, though, it's a little hard to pull them over.
That's true. You couldn't do the pit maneuver.
And everyone else was getting out of his way.
A Virginia man on Saturday totaled a $300,000 car that he had just bought the day before. The Fairfax County Police Department said the man was driving a McLaren 720S and hit a tree because he was speeding.
Speed kills.
The driver, who was not named by police, suffered only non-life-threatening injuries. Police said purchased Friday, totaled Saturday. This McLaren S20S costing about $300,000 was destroyed in Great Falls today because of speed. Driver taken to the hospital with thankfully only non-life-threatening injuries. A reminder to slow down, or it could cost.
So they're trying to guilt the poor guy.
And everybody else who speeds.
That reminds me of a story. This is from a couple of weeks ago. I meant to say this. So I'm pulling out of a shopping area, and there's a guy there with his family with a sign, need money for food, right? the man, the wife, the 2 little kids, right?
Yeah.
And I'm at the stop sign.
You're digging for change.
I don't have any money. All I got's 20.
Will you take a
I have
check?
a map of Minnesota.
I have no one. I have no ones in my pocket. All I got's a 20 in the billfold. He's not getting a 20. Okay?
Really?
So I'm sitting there, and the guy says to me, I kind of give him the, I'm on to my way, buddy. And he says to me, thank you, sir. That's a very nice car you're driving. I thought that was a cheap shot, didn't you?
I think so.
Not giving me anything. I think that was a very shameless attempt to guilt me, wasn't it?
But
Really?
you get a lot of compliments on your car. The guy walking across the parking lot. I don't have any money.
I actually complimented you on your car. It is a nice vehicle.
Yeah, well, I think the guy wanted to. I felt bad for Miles.
The problem was you followed it up with, yes, valleycardealers.com.
I was at a red light, and a gal came up to me with the cup.
Yeah.
And I asked her
what
her
year is it?
name.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what's your problem? And she said, beer.
Mm-hmm.
That was her answer.
She wanted a beer.
Honesty.
Wanted beer.
What, $2? That should have been worth $2.
Wait, you didn't tell Kenny hasn't heard what happened to you in Chicago.
Did you give her the one that you were working on right there in your car? Gave her my open half one. A little warm.
Kenny, I'm driving in Chicago, and I'm at a red light with a Volkswagen GTI with a 2-door, and I thought those had stopped being made.
Yeah.
So I rolled down my window, and he rolled down his window. I said, what year is it? He looked at me, he said, 2018. I said, no, the car.
I'm up to speed on that.
I got that.
I got 2018 now.
You're in Chicago.
How did I get here?
You're on Madison.
And your blinkers on.
Yeah, your blinker's been on for 8 miles, Grandpa.
Hey, pal, can you tell me what year it is?
It's fantastic.
2 police officers in Georgia have now been suspended after they used a coin toss to decide whether to arrest a 24-year-old motorist they stopped for speeding. The officers stopped the motorist when she was running late for work at an Atlanta hair salon and sped past them doing 80 miles an hour on a wet road.
I think you ought to arrest her.
2 female police officers then discussed whether to give motorist Sarah Webb a speeding ticket or arrest her for reckless driving. They decided to flip a coin to decide it. Heads, arrest. Tails, release. Officer Courtney Brown used a coin flip app on her mobile phone. The toss went against Webb, with Brown and the other officer, Christy Wilson, giggling as they began to write up charges.
Wow.
Webb couldn't immediately be reached for comment. Roswell Police Chief Rusty Grant said, I'm appalled that any law enforcement officer would trivialize the decision-making process of something as important of the arrest of a person.
Well, I don't know. They were giving her a chance. That's all you can ask for.
You got a 50-50 chance.
They shouldn't have done it in front of her.
Well, I don't think she had anything to do with it. This is the mischief of the 2 cops.
No, yes, that's true.
And they did it actually it was captured by the cameras. So their cameras.
Whoops.
So.
You turned your body cam off, right? Uh-oh.
A man with
Might be
fingernails.
some hijinks going on there. I don't know.
A man with fingernails longer than a bus finally cut them off.
A bus?
During a nail clipping ceremony in New York last week.
Tell me it was at least a short bus.
He grew them.
Metro Mobility.
A little bus.
A Metro Mobility bus. It wasn't a big old Greyhound, was it?
He grew them 66 years without ever cutting them.
Well, what do you do for a living that allows you to do that?
Well, he's 82.
Proctologist.
Well, how could you eat or comb your hair, or brush your teeth, or do anything?
Or the one important,
Right. Very carefully. Very carefully.
He's 82-year-old Sridhar
Edward
Chilal,
Scissors hands.
Where was he living?
Pune, India.
Okay.
He was
Nobody even noticed.
Was inspired to grow out nails on his left hand in 1952 after a teacher berated him for accidentally breaking one of hers. According to Jalal, the teacher warned him about the level of care required to grow out nails that he'd never understand unless he had to experience it for himself.
Boy, they love their nails in India. That's a very influential teacher right there.
In November
Didn't the Guinness World Book of Records have a photo of an Indian gentleman?
This may be your guy, Kenny.
Really?
He holds
from the
Guinness,
70s.
He holds the Guinness World Record.
It's the same one with the two fat guys on the mini bikes. Remember that? It's like from 1972.
They were brothers.
November 2014, his fingernails were measured to have a combined length of 29.8 feet, with his thumb being the longest at 77.9 inches.
That's
John,
interesting.
you know I hate stories about deformed body parts.
The McGuire twins.
Yeah, there they are. This is all very interesting, but we're out of time.
We gotta go.
Over here.
Nice to have you back, Kenny.
Whatever. I did not know the World Cup dated only to 1930 when Uruguay was the winner.
I did not. I know we skipped 1942. I didn't realize they also skipped 1946, trying to get things organized again after World War II.
What do you have coming up?
Well, we're going to have Chip Scoggins on to talk about that Star Tribune series on baseball, and we're going to have John Marthaler to wrap up the World Cup for us, and then we're going to talk about everything else. We're going to have Manny Hill's 4 Deep Thoughts, too.
You said you were in the neighborhood of the new soccer stadium. You didn't say anything about the stadium itself. What do you think?
Well, I think it's a little overly ornate. I don't know what the object of it's dramatic, that's for sure. But what goes on inside is going to be more important than what it looks like from the outside, in my opinion.
I think it's kind of neat looking.
Yeah,
it's different.
It is different. It's I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what that neighborhood looks like 10 years from now. I might not be around to see it.
1500 ESPN is KSTP St. Paul, Minneapolis.
Hi, this is Chris Howard, host of Plugged In with Chris Howard. It's crazy to think that a few weeks ago we were talking about whether or not Tua Tagovailoa should consider retiring. After 2 concussions and worldwide debates on player safety and NFL culpability, Tua has done nothing but go back to work and currently has the Dolphins riding a 3-game win streak and 1 loss behind the division favorite Buffalo Bills. While everyone was yapping about the end of his career, Tua Tagovailoa said he'll decide when it's time. And clearly, he's not ready to hang up the cleats. Hi, this is Chris Howard from the Plugged In with Chris Howard podcast. BetOnline.net is your #1 source for betting football and the start of the new basketball season. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every game. BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sports wagering information with live betting, up-to-the-minute scores for the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including the MLB playoffs, the start of the NHL season, MMA, boxing, and golf. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts.